Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, father passed away last week, younger sister and her ex asked about getting their son's college fund before we had the funeral. EM demands that her son gets to ride my horse. My EM tried to rent my spare room out to her friends. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Father passed away last week, younger sister and her ex asked about getting their son's college fund before we had the funeral. My father passed away last week following an accident. He had set up a college education fund for each of his grandchildren. I have an older sister and a younger sister. The younger sister has an addiction problem that she refuses to get help for, even though she has had many generous offers to pay for rehab and pay her ongoing expenses while in rehab. More than 5 years ago, her son no longer wanted to live with her because of her addictions, so her ex got custody. She has not visited her son since then, even though she has visitation rights. Because of this and several other times where she refused to take responsibility for her actions, just about the entire family went no contact with her 5 years ago. Only one cousin was still in contact with her, but she cut contact in early 2022. Our aunt, dad's sister, felt younger sister should know about dad's passing, so she did contact her with the news and information about the funeral service. Younger sister only wanted to know about what will happen with her son's college education fund and would she have access to the fund. Her son still has another year of high school left. My older sister did contact younger sister's ex because she felt our nephew had the right to know about his grandfather passing and have the opportunity to attend the funeral service. The ex said he would bring our nephew to the funeral, but then he wanted to know about the college education fund and if he would be getting access to it. I am the person in charge of all of the remaining education funds, and I can't even access them yet. But the trust is set up so that I am only able to make distributions to the college, university, or vocational school. The grandchildren must first be enrolled in the school, and then the funds go directly into an account at the school to cover tuition, fees, and books, and possibly housing if they live on campus. After this was explained to my younger sister and to her ex, the conversations quickly ended. Neither my younger sister nor her son attended dad's funeral service. Also, the ex told older sister that our nephew will be on academic probation when he starts his last year of high school. Good thing the educational funds are also able to pay for vocational school/training. I think we all know what little sis wanted the money for. Your dad was quite smart how he set up the trust. While the kid is on academic probation, he obviously has no use for it. It's not my fault he is stupid in drugs or nice, MMK? Sister, probably. I agree. How disgusting are they to want to take a child's college fund only to use it on themselves? You can see what both mom and dad had in common. Thank God for grandpa who had enough sense to see through them both. Greedy SOBs. While it is tactless of the dad, I can't really blame him for wanting the best for his kid. Doesn't seem he has any relationship with Opie's family, not mentioned if they tried staying in touch either. Little sis is absolutely a greedy SOB, though doesn't even have the kid as a reason, and it's her own bleeding grandfather. I am sad for the nephew. Seems like he could have used more exposure to your father. Lil sis didn't make that possible though. Doesn't seem like any of the family kept in touch with the nephew. Either they didn't make the effort, or the dad prevented it. Sorry for your loss. Glad the funds are in your control, and you may also need to make sure any refunds go back to the fund. Kids have been known to drop out and get the money. There are always those that make death even more painful. Greed always makes an entrance. My mother is already spending my dying great-grandmother's money. Good lawyers are a must when having addicts in the family. I want to know more about these addicts. Is it because they smoke marijuana? I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you, it was sudden, but Dad wouldn't have wanted to be kept on life support. To be fair, the nephew presumably had an effed up home life. Most 17-year-olds make poor choices. Give the kid a little break. But the younger sister, no breaks. She made her bed and lay in it. There's nothing like a funeral to bring out the worst in some people. If that's not the truth, I don't know what is. The things I went through with people when my dad passed was horrendously astounding. EM demands that her son gets to ride my horse. I have 3 horses. 2 who are really sweet and 1 who has extreme anxiety and is terrified of people, especially young kids. He was hurt for the first 6 years of his life. He was a lesson horse for kids who would often be kicked hard with spurs, until he was rescued, and later I bought him, and that was 4 years ago when I was 13, I'm now 17, and I have used so long to gain his trust. That's just some backstory that'll be important. Also, my horse gets anxiety when he isn't with his siblings or with me, which is also important, I think. We had open stable, which is basically an event where families get to come to the farm and meet the animals and try riding the horses, and the owner asked if they could borrow the 2 sweet horses, which I agree on. Since I couldn't leave my horse with the other horses, I was also asked if I could go on a few trips with some visitors to teach them how to ride. It was a very short trip. One of the trips stood out, however. A boy, maybe 9 years old, was put on the laziest pony ever, and he did not seem happy. He saw my horse. He is a Shire BTW, so he is huge, 17 hands aka 68 inches per 173 centimeters from the shoulder down. He is bigger than me. The kid lit up, and jumped off the pony and walked over to me, with the mother right behind, and this was the conversation. Excuse me, my son wants to ride that horse, can you switch? Me, sorry, no, this is my horse. No, it's the farm's horse. Me, no, I own him, he is a private. But no, he can't ride my horse. Why not? He doesn't want the lazy horse. Me, it's my horse, and I'm guessing your son has ridden very little. This horse is not for beginners, and he doesn't like strangers. Then, grabs the reins. My brother was close by and got the lady to let go, but it was not over. I want to ride him. I know, but that boy won't let you, he doesn't think you are good enough. Started crying and yelling I want to ride it over and over, and I got annoyed. Me, lady, either get your sons but on the pony, or leave, cause you aren't going to get to ride my horse, it's dangerous and if the kid falls he'll get seriously hurt. No he won't, it'll be okay. Brother, lady, the horse is almost my height, I have landed in the hospital because of that horse, and I got away with a broken arm. That horse does not like kids, your son will get more injured than I did. OP is basically saving your son from a lifetime of pain, or maybe death. It's true, my brother tried to ride my horse and was bucked off. You're just making that up cause you're some stuck-up rich brats. Me, alright lady. Leave, I'm not gonna take you on the ride. I'm telling the owner. Me, go ahead. I have 6 witnesses that can back me up. After that, left and I was later asked about it from the owner, and nothing happened to me, the owner took my side. Boggles the mind how Karens would put their own kids in danger just to get their way. OP, you handled it a lot more politely than I would have. My response would have been get off Karen and take your spoiled disgusting little crotch goblin with you. You did good. Why abuse an animal, an intelligent animal, just to appease a screaming brat? Your horse trusts you for a reason. Also, a horse is not a toy, because it is a toy that can retaliate when you disrespect its personal space. You did right by your furry child. Please give him an extra carrot, or appropriate treat, for being the bestest horse. I'm glad your horse ended up with people like you and your brother was there to back you up. That and her crotch goblin are probably the kind of people that go up to random dogs or working dogs and attempt to manhandle them and ignore their humans. Remember kids. Never give Karens power by letting them do what they want or giving into their delusional demands. They don't deserve it. Why can't people take a polite, consider it no for an answer anymore. You had the child's best interest in mind, unlike his mother, who would have screamed lawsuit the second that horse through her little crotch goblin. Opie, reason owner, took your side so easily, he thought one word. Insurance. As that EM would certainly have sued his insurance for everything she could get. And sue you as well. Why are people this dumb? Even the most experienced riders can be hurt by a horse. Then you have brain-dead people that will put their kids in danger because the kid doesn't understand no. Once when my family was together and drinking, we totaled up who had the most broken bones. The two equestrians won by a country mile, even over the cyclists. Even my sister, who has ridden for over 30 plus years, has been thrown hard. She actually bikes, too, so she won that contest handily. Hell, every few years at Rolex, you'll see something go wrong at an obstacle on the cross-country course and a world-class rider gets thrown. That's why they wear airbag vests. My EM tried to rent my spare room out to her friends. So this happened about 18 months ago, but I only just remembered when I came across an EP story on TikTok. Basically, I began living above a pub that I own. It has a large 2-room living room connected via an archway and curtain across it. My youngest sister and her friends began staying in one of the living rooms that had the privacy of the curtain. My office was the other living room. This flat also has 2 large bedrooms. Mine is the biggest. My mother was helping me set up the pub since I had also gone back to university a year prior. My mother hired a chef who lived on an island nearby, Isle of Man, who had been her friend years back, but I had never met. She had offered him a job here because he had been looking to move back home. Then all of a sudden she tells me he'll be staying in the second bedroom for a while until he gets a place sorted. I hated the idea and tried to protest a lot because I did want a strange man living with me, and this was the first place that I had to myself I hope to enjoy being on my own. My mother mentioned that it'll only be a little while, a couple of months max. It didn't matter anyways because the guy ran. My mother's best friend, who had helped me sort the pub out a lot and I had known for years, was also in between places at this point, so after the first guy left, I suggested she move her stuff. She said it would only be for a month while she finds somewhere else, so I said no worries and she moved her stuff in. Then it turned out my mother's other best friend also started to need a place to live because he didn't want to live at home with his parents anymore. So my mom invited him to live in my flat. When she told me this, I questioned where he would even stay. She replied, "He'll have your room, you stay in that living room with the curtain, and then when first best friend moves out, second best friend will move into that room and you'll get your room back." When I responded, I didn't really know this best friend that well. In the 10 to 15 years of their friendship, I met the guy only a handful of times. My mother responded, "Oh, it's only until he gets a place, it'll be about 6 months. Whenever I pushed her, said I didn't feel comfortable or I wasn't going to give up my room, she would get annoyed and say she's just trying to help her friend. That Christmas the first best friend's stuff was still there, but she wasn't staying there. She had her own place, but she just left a lot of her stuff here for a while. My sister came back from uni for the holidays. And at that time we were discussing that in the summer break she would live here too. My youngest sister was still living in the living room with her friends too. Then my mother said since first best friend has a place now, second best friend can move in. I replied saying that my sister is living here, but that means that my mother had a spare room, so why can't her friend live with her? Her response, "I don't want them, the second best friend and his girlfriend, living with me. I like my space." I replied, "Well, you know him better than I do, so I don't want him living with me either." She responded that he's desperate for a place to stay and mentally it's taking a toll on him, so I replied again that he should live with her then. She actually got angry because she was just helping her friend. He never ended up moving in. But it felt like my mother was always offering my spare room up to anyone that walked by. My boyfriend actually put a lock on all the doors on the inside for safety when the first guy stayed for a week. Edit, just to clarify, I live on my own, none of her friends live with me and I have the place to myself now. She doesn't work at the pub anymore, mentioned in a comment what happened, and now that I have my own place in the pub I've stood my ground a lot more and say no a lot more. I don't get guilt-tripped anymore and everything is good. My mother and I get on better now that we have separate lives. I just thought it was a funny story because I find the audacity hilarious. Edit 2. Also my mother doesn't take no, she'll use guilt or she'll say trust me, or she'll get angry at you. It's easier said than done growing up like that. I've said in a few comments that this has gotten better because now I know I can say no and that be the end of it because it's my place, but it took a while to find it. She isn't helping anyone. She is trying to get you to help her friends and then taking the credit. If she wants to help them, she should put them up in her place. Mom, I'm not running a flop house for all your homeless friends. Do not offer up my spare room to anyone ever again. If you do, they will be turned away at the door. Reminds me of the story months back of an entitled father who tried to rent his child's apartment, which he did not pay for, to 3 of his friends. Oh yeah, I think it's the one where the friends thought it was the dad's flat because he lied to them too. How old is your mom that she has all these friends living with their parents needing rooms? She sounds like she's the crazy girl in college that has all the weird friends that don't bathe, are very annoying, and never take the hint to leave. If she offers the room up again, just say sure, can I have their number, and just contact them saying your mom is the one with the spare room. I hope you found your backbone and set a boundary with EM. My home is not your to let out for whomever gives you some sun story about their living arrangements. If I do not know them, they will not be moving in with me. If I have not given permission and a signed rental agreement, they will not be living with me. If they are not living with me, their belonging will not be living with me. If you want to provide a space for your friends, you can only do so with your space in your home. I am not a youth hostel or halfway house. She's not helping her friend. She expects you to help her friend and she'll just take the credit for it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.